It began with a countdown. 10, 9, 8. On every screen across Earth, and every human-colonized outpost in the system, a timer pulsed. No message. No warning. No declaration of war. At 0, the signal opened to a single live feed. A hovering Imperial dreadnought, orbiting over New Oslo. Below, millions of civilians filled the skyline. Children at schools, families in transit, crowds gathering in confusion. Then came the pulse. A bright flash. Silence. New Oslo was gone. Within 30 seconds, 9 other cities followed. Sydney. Valles Marineris. Cairo. Titan Prime. Lagos. Seattle. Novo Brasilia. Eden, 4. Hyderabad. Each city disintegrated in real time. In less than 3 minutes, 99 million lives were erased from existence, wiped from the face of Earth and its colonies. The Galactic Empire streamed it all live. Not just to Earth, but to every world under its dominion. The message wasn't spoken, but understood. Humans had grown defiant, questioned their place, refused to kneel. This was a correction, a warning to the galaxy. And humanity heard it. For 36 hours, Earth went dark. News channels stopped. AI interfaces refused commands. Satellites fell into blackout silence. It wasn't grief. It wasn't confusion. It was calculation. What the Empire didn't understand was what it had activated. Humanity is not a species known for patience. Not when threatened. Not when hunted. And certainly not when their children are burned alive on live broadcast. From the ashes, a single human voice broke the silence. A girl, 17, from the outskirts of New Oslo. Face burned, eyes hollow. Broadcast from an emergency drone. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't cry. "They wanted to make an example of us," she said. "They did. And now, so will we." The message lasted 12 seconds. It was the only footage Earth allowed to transmit before its networks shuttered completely. Behind closed circuits, world leaders convened. Not separately. Not regionally. Together. Old enemies sat side by side. AI governors and human officials linked in thought. Protocols were suspended. Borders erased. In 12 hours, humanity rewrote its structure. No more nation-states. No more corporate blocs. No more debates. One species. One banner. One command. The Terran Accord. At 4 o'clock Universal Time Coordinated, a vote was taken, not by presidents, but by people. The largest synchronized consensus in human history. They didn't debate retaliation. They named it. Operation Alien Extinction. There were no press releases. No threats. No messengers. Earth didn't explain. Because it never would again. The broadcast of the genocide was intended to humiliate. To strip humans of pride. To remind the galaxy who held power. But power isn't measured in weapons. Not really. It's measured in resolve. In memory. In the sharpened edge of loss. And humanity? Humanity is very good at remembering. The last words seen on any human broadcast were etched into black. You just taught the wrong species how to hate. The Empire celebrated too soon. They mistook Earth's silence for surrender. They didn't know that silence can be a forge. That stillness is where monsters are made. Somewhere, deep in the Terran Command archives, a synthetic intelligence wrote a note. The Empire has made a critical error. They broadcast an atrocity. But humans know how to weaponize pain. On that day, the Empire inherited a new enemy. Not a rebellious species, but an extinction-level event wrapped in flesh and fury. And Earth had just been given permission to let it loose. The Empire noticed first when Earth's data streams went silent. Not disrupted, dead. No signals. No emissions. No trade logs. Human colonies, embassies, and satellites stopped responding. What appeared as collapse was the opening move. Terran AIs, long dormant in galactic systems, reactivated. Sleeper code spread across subspace like infection, rewriting navigation data, corrupting logistics, rerouting entire convoys into black holes. Warships found their weapons disabled mid-combat. Communications failed at command level. The Empire's bureaucracy crumbled without a single missile fired. Entire fleets vanished. Not in battles, just gone. Hulls found adrift weeks later, crews missing, logs wiped clean. No pattern, no warning. Alien commanders began resigning, some defecting. Others took their own lives before they could be captured and interrogated. The psychological toll spiraled. They named it the Silent War. No demands. No broadcasts. No faces. Just loss. And always the same symbol left behind, a black phoenix rising from a shattered Earth. Inside Earth's sealed citadel systems, Terran Command operated with terrifying unity. No debates. No leaks. AI strategists modeled 1,000 variations of the war and executed the most efficient path, not for conquest, but for collapse. Captain Rhea Valen, leader of the Terran Black Command, initiated Phase 2. Genetically enhanced, trained since youth, and fluent in 12 alien dialects, she became the quiet spearpoint of the offensive. Her parents were vaporized in New Oslo. She never spoke of them. She didn't need to. Her team, 4 agents without names, operated in silence, disabling planetary defense systems, targeting key communication relays, and assassinating imperial governors who once laughed at humanity's backwater impulses. The Empire tried to retaliate, launching attacks on known human outposts. But every location was empty, evacuated weeks prior. Instead, their fleets found dormant space mines and viral payloads that infected their ship cores. One dreadnought exploded from within as its food supply converted into acidic foam. A captured general, once hailed as the Breaker of Mars, was found dead in his imperial cell. Carved into the wall, in the general's own blood, were 6 words. "This is not vengeance. This is balance." Empire broadcasts tried to spin the narrative that humans had lost control, that they were no longer sentient, just beasts seeking destruction. But fear crept in. Other species under the Empire began to murmur. Not all supported the genocide. Not all believed the official line. Some had admired human resilience. Some had traded with Earth before the silence. Some had married humans. And now they saw Earth rising, not in chaos, but in cold, calculated justice. What scared the Empire most wasn't the weapons. It was the discipline. No speeches. No theatrics. Just consequences. In less than a month, 39 systems reported Terran incursions. Not a single human soldier captured. Not a single location left untouched. Humanity wasn't just fighting. It was dismantling. One fleet, one governor, one star system at a time. The last internal memo intercepted from Imperial High Command read, "They didn't come to negotiate. They came to erase us." And Earth hadn't even begun. The desert wind tore across the scorched plains of Virex 9, a barren world on the Empire's edge, forgotten except for its outpost. That's where the human crashed, his ship barely intact, transponder destroyed. He should have died. Should have been executed on sight. Kalatari found him first. Daughter of a warrior caste, loyal to the Empire by birth and law. Yet something in the wreckage stopped her. A sound. A breath. A human, unconscious, barely alive. She hesitated only once before dragging him into the shadows. Harboring a human was a capital crime. But curiosity overpowered doctrine. 4 days, she nursed him in secret, hiding him from patrols, faking reports, scavenging food. His wounds were severe, but his will unyielding. When he spoke, his words carried no threats, no anger, just questions. Why did they watch us die? Kayla didn't answer. He told her of Earth, of cities burned, of children lost mid-laugh, of silence, not screaming. She didn't cry. She listened. And then he asked her one in return. Why did you save me? She didn't know. Something shifted. She began to doubt the Empire, not because he demanded it, but because he didn't. He simply existed, bleeding, breathing, broken, yet unafraid. She realized the elders had lied. The fear wasn't of human rage. It was of their courage. She kept him hidden even when patrols intensified, when bounty scans activated, when Imperial scouts warned of Terran infiltrators in the sector. Her hands shook, but she never left him. Then the order came. Purge protocol. Any non-Empire signal meant execution. No trials. No leniency. They found her shelter. Found him. She stood in front of him when they arrived. Unarmed. No plea. They sentenced her to honor death. Her own kin turned away. But the human stood. Injured, limping, one arm useless. But he stood beside her. He looked into the commander's eyes and said, "You don't get to kill her. Not today." They laughed until the walls collapsed. The Terran dropship didn't arrive to rescue him. It came for her. She was the first alien to save a human. The first spark. They extracted both. Some in the Empire called it sedition. Others called it prophecy. Word spread across border systems. Of a warrior who defied death for a human. Of a human who refused to run alone. More began to question. Some began to hide humans themselves. Secret messages carried on civilian channels, encrypted in music, embedded in starlight pulses. The rebellion didn't begin with armies. It began with one act of mercy, and now it was unstoppable. The capital system fell without warning. No declaration, no approach. One moment it was secure, the next it was surrounded. Terran vessels emerged from subspace with absolute precision, bypassing every known defense grid. They didn't jam communications. They didn't need to. The silence was heavier than any threat. The conclave watched from its high chamber, paralyzed. Centuries of dominance, undone in a breath. Inside, the guards stationed at every hall were already gone. Not dead. Disarmed. Released. Behind them came not just humans, but defectors. Alien rebels from over a dozen species, armed, unified, bearing Earth's symbol. At the center, Captain Rhea Valen walked alone into the Imperial court. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Behind her came Kaylatari and the human she once saved, now recognized across hundreds of systems as the spark that shattered the law of silence. No speeches followed. No bargaining. The High Chancellor was escorted out in chains, trembling. The other council members remained still, watching their empire fracture around them. On 1,000 worlds, broadcast drones reactivated. For the first time since the genocide, Earth spoke. A single message, translated into every language known to the Empire. This is not extinction. This is the end of tyranny. The executions were swift. Trials streamed live. Records unsealed. Every command signed, every order given, shown to the galaxy. Some pleaded ignorance. Others begged for mercy. None received it. Cities that once celebrated imperial victories now flew banners with Earth's Black Phoenix. Entire star systems held silent vigils for the 99 million lost. But Earth refused to let it end in mourning. Rebuilding began instantly. Rebel forces helped restore power grids. Human engineers trained alien survivors. Libraries once banned were reopened. Trade systems rebooted, this time equally. No species above another. The Galactic Empire didn't just fall. It was dismantled piece by piece, not by war, but by justice. In private, Captain Rhea addressed Kalatari. You broke their laws to save a man. The galaxy followed. Kayla looked across the horizon of a once feared capital, now filled with music. I didn't save a man, she said. I saved a truth. Humans didn't demand loyalty. They inspired it. Their vengeance was brutal, yes. But it ended the moment it no longer needed to exist. They didn't stay to rule. They didn't plant flags. They left behind systems capable of standing on their own, so the same mistake would never repeat. The last transmission from Earth was brief. We were born in fire. But we are not flame. We are the light that follows it. And then, silence. Not the silence of grief, but of peace. Earned, not gifted. And across the stars, when stories were told of the empire that fell, only one name was spoken with fear, respect, and gratitude. Humanity.